Welcome to Brews in Boxing. I am your host, Raider Live, with you with another week of in-depth boxing news and analysis with our panel of experts. Our first expert, of course, with me since the beginning, the one, the only, Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, how are you?
I know you're going to be happy about this, boys, but kind of breaks my heart to know that the Yankees winning streak is over and they won, I believe it was 12 games in a row, the longest in 60 years, our lifetimes. That's it, man. So you're happy. I'm a little sad, but we'll see what happens in October. Go Yanks.
Speaking of the Yankees, did you see that that home run on a time call the other day? It's the first time I've ever seen that in my life. Batter called for time, and the umpire stepped out, and the pitcher pitched it anyway, and he blasted it over the wall.
You a Yankees fan now too?
No, I'm not. But that was
I'm proud
cool
of you.
See.
I'm proud of you.
No, but I am a Gophers fan, and they start tonight against the Buckeyes.
Ohio State.
The Buckeyes are probably going to kill them, but it is what it is. All right. Since he's giving us the look, the other judge or the other expert up there is the one, the only Judge Jimmy James, my fantasy football partner and heterosexual life mate. How are you, buddy?
Japan has 23 vending machines to every one person. That is ridiculous.
Drink to that.
Oh, you guys can sit there and jamble on about stupid crap about Yankees and man.
But Japanese vending machines, not stupid.
I mean, if you ever need to know about Japanese vending machines, you come to our panel of experts and we'll talk to you about that right now. What are in them vending machines, though? That's the funny part. Have you ever seen that?
Go to Japan, figure it out.
All right. Well, on that note, we got a long show here today. It is our Filthy 5 week. We are doing the 135 division. Yeah, the lightweights, the 135. I was going to say 130, but you caught me. 135. Lightweights, we'll get to that. We also have some news to get to. So, gentlemen, if you are ready, I've already took the cap off. I'm going to fake like I'm doing it again. Cheers. All right. And let's get on with the show. Brews and news for this week. Lots of big, interesting news to get to. Of course, we have the biggest news of the week coming at you. And the biggest news of the week, obviously, will start. You guys know it. You guys cried about it. Jake Paul has announced his retirement from boxing after fighting exactly as many boxers as I have in his professional career. I know you guys are sad. Thoughts? Okay, moving on. Oscar Valdez also tests positive for a banned diuretic ahead of a September 10th return. He says it was due to some herbal tea. I don't know which herb he was putting in there, but apparently it was one that he was not supposed to be using. We'll start with you, Filthy Rich. You know all about the herbal teas. What did he test positive for, and what's it mean for his return?
Look, as far as I know, this is not a performance-enhancing drug, or whatever he tested positive for is not supposed to make him any better. It's just a banned substance. At the end of the day, you are responsible for what you put into your own body. I don't want to get off on some tangent here, but here we go. If we as a society, as a globe, are going to say and preach to people, trust your doctors with vaccines, then this guy is trusting his doctor, and they gave him a banned substance. Now, when it comes to this herbal tea stuff, I don't know. Maybe there's something in herbal tea, but VADA caught him. I don't know what this banned substance is. I don't know who is banning. Is it the WBA says this is a ban? Is it Vegas who's saying this is a banned substance? I don't know what's going on. But if we're going to, out of one side of our mouth, say, trust your doctor, and then on the other side say, you are responsible for what you put in your body, I don't know what to do here. But Valdez tested positive for a banned substance. I know that I've heard that this is not a performance-enhancing substance. Obviously, this fight is either postponed, maybe canceled. It's the biggest news right now. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, it's a banned diuretic. Apparently, it's used to shed weight, but they're also worried that it can be used to mask other things in failed drug tests, like it'll mask a steroid or whatnot. But Says there's still a B sample to await. They're still waiting for the B sample, so maybe he gets out of it. You never know. It could be canceled. James, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I had some comments.
Yeah.
The banned substance that he was talking about is phentermine, which is literally a dietary. It's a diuretic. So he said it was in herbal tea. Produce the tea that you're talking about, because I'll tell you right now, this stuff is only prescribed by a doctor. So there's no way that you're going to get this from sipping on herbal tea unless somebody you know or somebody in your camp put it in your tea, right? So interesting side note, he's trained by Eddie Reynoso. Eddie Reynoso is training Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has also failed drug tests before. So guess what? Maybe that camp, they're so good because they be doping every day, right? You can make that connection, right? Because that is interesting, but you cannot get this unless you have a prescription. It's prescription only medication. So that's what I wanted to say on this. Is it really going to, enhance his technical performance in the ring? Probably not. But I don't know, besides cutting weight, I don't know what other benefit or side effects that this has. You just touched on it, Raider. Maybe they're hiding something else because this is something that will test above a steroid. And if that's the case, that's just a shame because he is definitely known for his power. And if that's where he's getting his power from, well, that's just super unfortunate. So hopefully the next, the B side comes up negative, but we haven't got that information yet. So, but it's really unfortunate news.
I doubt the B side's going to come back negative since he's already said it came from this tea or whatever. But my request to these boxers is, if you're going to fail a drug test, at least make it fun, like Big Baby Miller's drug test, so we can, have some fun with it, or at least you could have some fun with those drugs too. You're not going to have any fun with this diuretic. Big Baby Miller, he's going to have fun with his stuff. Just so you guys know. All right, moving on to the next one here. Right down my list. Caleb Plant has come out and said he will beat Canelo twice if Canelo wants a rematch. Caleb talking all sorts of confidence in the world. Haven't really heard much from Canelo on this bout. I think Canelo gets a rematch clause and Caleb does not as part of the fight deal is what I read. We'll start with you this time, James. What do you think about Plant's Seabach-like confidence going into this Canelo fight?
Well, confidence is what you need to have, right? If you're not going to be confident in yourself, then who the hell else will? However, those are some big words against probably the number one pound for pound fighter in the world right now. And considering he has 18 fights under his belt, I think Plant does. Yeah, I'm gonna trust Canelo's resume on this one. You think that you're gonna beat him, and then you're gonna beat him in a rematch when you haven't even fought him in the ring. That's tough. I mean, you got to have confidence, but there's also, you're skirting the fine line of a little bit of crazy there. So, but I don't know. It's going to be really interesting if he has this much gusto and he thinks he's going to do this. I would like to see him actually back it up, but I just don't think that that's going to happen.
Filthy Rich, your thoughts?
Look, the Canelo has not been, how do I put it? I don't want to say dominant because that's not the right word I'm looking for, but Canelo has lost rounds fighting. He lost rounds against Golovkin, ended up with a fight or with a win. He fought who was the guy on DAZN they just pummeled in 4 rounds. I mean, that guy wasn't a real contender. He fought was it Callum Smith, and Callum Smith had a bad bicep, so we just beat up on Callum Smith. Other than that, Caleb Plant is a solid opponent, a really good opponent. Billy Joe Saunders, another one, and Canelo did not dominate that fight until Saunders' face got dominated by a right hook or whatever it was.
Allegedly.
I think, yeah, and who knows if he has those special diuretic pills. So
is that a wink?
A little bit.
Trying to wink.
I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can't hear a wink if you're listening to us, but you can definitely see a wink. So Caleb Plant has to look, if he's gonna beat Canelo twice if he wants it. he's going to have to watch what other guys did wrong. And what everyone else has done wrong against Canelo is try to fight him straight up, head to head. I think part of the reason why Golovkin, they claim he lost that second fight is because Golovkin said after the first fight, well, he kept running away from me. He kept running away from me. Well, this time Canelo was standing in front of him. And a lot of boxers, Errol Spence was one of them. Well, Canelo kept running towards you this time. What did you do? I thought Golovkin outboxed him. And I think that's what Caleb Plant can do. We just saw Ugas and Pacquiao. And one thing with Ugas, he looks a lot like Canelo. He just kind of stands there and moves forward. Pacquiao had two bad legs. If Pacquiao had, two strong legs, he could dance around Ugas and could have beaten Ugas. That was a close fight. I looked to Caleb Plant to do possibly the same thing. He has two good legs and Canelo just wants to come straight and use the earmuff defense. I think Caleb Plant can beat this guy. And I'm probably going to get trolled for this on Twitter and wherever else you want to troll me. But I really think Caleb Plant is going to watch out for what other guys have done wrong, correct those mistakes, and go out there with a fresh pair of legs and maybe have a chance to beat Canelo, depending on what the judges think. And if Canelo wants it twice, bring it on.
Interesting. So you're now switching over to Plant to win that
Not
fight?
switching over to anything. I haven't really said anything, but I think Canelo wins a fight. We have to, I don't know, but that's how Caleb Plant can win. When we break down this fight later on, I will take those points in order to help Caleb Plant win. Maybe I'm taking Caleb Plant's side here, but I don't expect Caleb Plant to beat Canelo.
All right. Well, speaking of Canelo and speaking of people that like to talk a lot of smack, Chris Eubank Jr. says that Billy Joe Saunders faked his eye injury against Canelo and quit on the chair because he didn't want any of it. He said, and I quote, Billy Joe just had a black eye and didn't want any more of it, and that's why you didn't hear from the doctors. And he had sunglasses on a week later. You can't do that with a busted eye. Well, all three of us saw the side of Billy Joe Saunders' face caved in, looking funky as stuff. I don't know why we have to go conspiracy theory on this and say that Billy Joe Saunders didn't have a broken bone because his face sure looked like it did. It was caved in there. But Chris Eubank says it was fake. What do you guys think about that? Filthy Rich, start with you.
I'd like to see Eubank Jr. against Canelo. I mean, that's all I can really add to this. I think he's trying to pick on a guy who has, I don't know if it's a claim, but he said like there's a 50-50 chance he gets back into the ring. After hearing someone talk like this, I think if Billy Joe wants to get back in the ring, he has found an opponent. This can do a lot. This can make a lot of money over in the UK. Both are UK guys. They fought before. Saunders beat him on a controversial decision. But like, I don't know. Junior is picking on a guy who is clearly just got beat up. You want to talk all this stuff? Go in there and fight Canelo first, and then go out there and start calling out Billy Joe Saunders or something. But I don't know. He's a trash talker, but so is Billy Joe. So maybe Billy Joe had it coming. I don't know. I don't want to take sides in this, but that's all I really have to offer.
Well, it seems ridiculous that he says it was a fake injury. That's ridiculous. And he says if he has the stones to come back to the ring, you don't say that to somebody that's retired or about to retire or possibly retire. He could have lost his sight. It was his corner. It said, hey, you got to stop. But I didn't think it'd be possible, but they actually found a fight that I'd be cheering for Billy Joe Saunders for. Because I didn't think that was possible. I really did not think that was possible, but I would be cheering for Billy Joe Saunders' this fight. Jimmy James, your thoughts on Eubank saying that's a fake injury? It's fake news.
The only credit that he has is that we don't have doctors' photos, right? There's no doctor's evidence, right? It's the same thing when Lomachenko hurt his shoulder, and one of the pictures was literally from when he hurt his shoulder before, right? And that's what came out right away. It wasn't a recent photo, but someone reposted it, said it was a recent photo, yada yada yada, right? That's the only real evidence, quote unquote, that Eubank has that he's basing this on, right? Everyone saw BJS's eye. Even if it wasn't fractured, dude, you can't see that. If you can't continue and you don't think you can continue, this might be life, but you got life ahead of you. So I'm not discrediting him for not for not coming back out. I mean, his eye looked really bad. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I think Eubank really just needs to get in the ring because he hasn't fought in a long time. So if this gets him back in the ring, then let's go whoever Eubank is fighting. So that's what I'm rooting for.
Well, even Canelo said he broke his eye.
I was just
going
to mention that. He said,
Canelo
I
said
broke
it
his
during
face.
the
He
fight.
felt
I just
it.
broke his face. He ain't coming back out. Like he felt it. He knew it when he did it.
And
He ain't
when
no
you watch,
doctor.
well, when you watch the fight, after
hear
he
it.
landed that blow, he starts throwing his arms up, telling the crowd, "Come on, stand up."
Over, right.
He knew that shot that landed on Saunders' face, that was it. You guys, this fight's over. Stand up and applaud. He ain't coming back. So,
right.
I don't know, again, we need to see. I think we need to see Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. I hope Canelo stands up for Billy Joe and say at least he had the fortitude to get in the ring. Where are you? Besides hiding behind your missing pen. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Right on. All right. Last bit of news here. It actually ties into that. Joe Saunders actually has demanded $5 million to fight Eubank Jr. in a rematch. $5 million. Sure, you can get that over at Wembley Stadium pretty easily. So it sounds like this fight might happen. Judge, your thoughts on that?
Why not? They're both talking smack to each other. If they think that this is it, and Eubank thinks that this is a giant, fake injury in this whole 9 yards, that he was just looking for a payday, and maybe he was looking for a payday, but go right ahead and fight him then. If this can actually be made and you guys can figure out a way to actually get $5 million apiece, then just do it. Or if you think you're this much better than him, do it for less than what he's offering and knock him even further out. Other than that, I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. Eubank just needs to get back in the ring. I think that's just pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can get $5 million for that fight. I'd pay to watch that fight. As I said, it's the first fight that I would ever see that I'd cheer for Billy Joe Saunders to win. Filthy Rich, your thoughts? Can they get $5 million in Wembley?
Look, I remember doing our fantasy fight card, and I wanted to keep all the fights UK-ish, something like that. I had Brook and Khan, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. I wanted to have Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank because that is much more than $5 million apiece. Them guys can do huge numbers on that. So $5 million is there should be no issues whatsoever. $5 million should be easy to cough up. Golovkin got $10 million for fighting Sarah Maida, so I don't see why too big. And like the UK, they're bigger on boxing than we are here in the United States. So I think that fight can be made. We'll see if Eubank Jr. finds his pen.
It's a rematch.
It's a rematch, and one that I think
victory
Saunders is
over.
going to win. So. All right, that's news this week. We got our Filthy Five coming up, but that's our news for this week. Good job, boys. And let's move on with the show. Filthy Five time, 135. First of the month. It's the first of the month. I forgot to say that. It's the first of the month. We do our Filthy Five, and this week this month we're doing the 135 lightweight division. A lot of names in the 135. Could be a lot of parity in this one to see where everybody lies. Hopefully a lot of parity. We'll see. We'll find out, I guess. Let's see if I ruined it like usual, or I think Rich has ruined the last few, so we'll see. We'll give you our top 5, but we'll give you a 5, 4, 3, and then we'll tell you who didn't make the top 10 list or who didn't make the top 13, as it turned out to be this time around, 13. And then we'll go our 2 and our 1. How we do this is each of our experts and myself gave our top 10. We assigned points to it. So the first place one got 10 points, all the way down to 1 point for 10. And then added those points together, and that is our consensus list. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. We can start with our number 5. Unless you guys have any comments. Oh, we do have the comment that we all decided that Gervanta Davis will be in the 135 contention for this list. So if you're wondering that at home. Any other caveats you guys got?
13 of us, 10 guys. I probably have 2 of those guys that you guys didn't have. That's my guess right now.
You would be correct. James has 1 that you and me didn't have. I had 1 that you 2 didn't have. And you had 2 that we didn't have. So that's a total of 13. What we got there. So let's see how it works. Ready for number 5?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Number 5, with 18 points, is Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia comes in at number 5. I ranked him at number 5. James, you ranked him at number 5. And Rich, shockingly, you ranked him at number 5.
Social.
That's a social. Apparently, James doesn't want a social with us, but
give me some time here.
since James was late on the social, Rich, I'll let you start with Ryan Garcia at number 5.
Look, this is a pretty deep division. I think we knew who the top 5 were, and after that, it's going to be a big shuffle. I have Ryan at number 5 simply because I don't think he beats the 4 guys I had ahead of him. But don't sleep. Ryan has actually proven that he has some skills. He basically knocked Luke Campbell into retirement, I guess you could say. But he's got the skills. I need to see the competition. And as far as the 4 guys I have ahead of him, I just think if he goes head to head with any of those 4 guys, Ryan doesn't come out with a victory. That's why I have him at number 5.
Right on. Number 5 is where I had him as well. Same things. He needs to have a fight here soon. Hopefully, that's what I start doing. Judge, you had him at 5. Any thoughts about Ryan Garcia?
He has shown skills to keep him in contention. He just hasn't fought. He had mental issues and took a sabbatical, I guess. I'm not really sure if he's back in the game. I thought he said at one point that he was supposed to wanting to try to fight at the end of this year, but I don't remember how long ago that was. But yeah, I mean, he definitely has the stuff, to be in the top 5 in this division. He just needs to be more active. He just needs to get back on that horse. I mean, he's only 24, 25. So you need to make a decision. If you're playing, you got to play now. Otherwise, you need to just retire and become a model or something. One of the two, but pick one.
He could be the next Amir Khan. Dance with us, James. Dance the dance of loneliness. He won't do it. One of these days we'll do it. All right, Ryan Garcia at number 5. All right, moving up to our number 4 with 21 points is Devin Haney. Devin Haney comes in at number 4 at 21 points. I had him ranked at 4. James, you had him ranked at 4. Rich, you had him ranked at 4. Again, another social.
Jeez.
Great minds think alike here, apparently. Devin Haney, James, you get to go first this time because Rich went first last time. Devin Haney at 4.
Well, it's Devin Haney. He looked better in his last fight, at least a little bit better in his last fight. So it looks like he's moving upwards, a little more active when he was fighting the Linares. Still didn't look that great, but still looked better. I mean, he's still the youngest of everyone, 22. I think he's the youngest of everyone. This is still a very young division, so a lot of these guys might be around forever. But yeah, I mean, Haney, I think Haney would beat Garcia at this stage if they were to fight right now. Maybe it would change, but Haney's got the tools to at least stay in the top 5 for quite a while. Could possibly become in the top 3 if he polishes some of these skills a little bit, but he needs to become a little bit more offensive or get a little bit better on his defense because he looked shaky a couple of times. But that's about all I agree.
Well, obviously, Rich, you agree as well since you had him at 4 as well. So why don't you add anything that James left out?
No, I mean, James nailed it. If there's anything I would add is again, this is like a pecking order thing. The top 5 kind of just go in this order where the guy at number 1 probably beats number 2 and 2 beats 3 and so on. And it was pretty close for me, almost neck and neck with him and Garcia. I think I just took their last opponent. I took Garcia, took Luke Campbell, and Devin Haney fought Yuri. Was that his last one? I thought it was Gamboa.
He did fight Gamboa, but he fought Linares after that.
Okay. Well, even then, guess the tougher competition put him, just notched him just above Garcia. I'd like to see the two of them go at it to see, who's really got the mustard. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe it's my thing. But Devin Haney's got all the mustard, at least over Ryan Garcia. So that's why I put him at 4.
All the mustard. Does he have the sauce as well?
Roll the graphic.
Judge, does he have the sauce or does he just have the mustard?
Guess who edits?
All right. Devin Haney at number 4. Let's move to our top 3. We're moving through right. They're pretty good here. Our number 3 with 24 points is Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, the champ, comes in at 3, which is a little surprising, I think, to maybe some of our viewers. But I had him at 3. James, you had him at 3, and Big Shock Rich, you had him at 3 as well.
Right. Oh my
what a collaboration list here. I thought this would be the...
Swear to God, we did not talk at all before this. This is so...
I don't even like talking to these guys on my free time.
No,
so
I don't
we did
either.
not set this up.
No, I mean, I did my list yesterday, and you guys sent me your lists today. So, yeah, it's just weird that we all thought the champ is at 3. I guess we all can consider him a paper champion, so to speak. He's not, but we consider it. He's just not the best in this division right now, in our opinions, anyway. Rich, why don't you explain why?
Well, I'm going to stop with this pecking order thing because at this point, it is basically the top 3, depending on how you want to shuffle them around. He beat Lomachenko, who's noticeably not mentioned so far. So do we have Lomachenko ranked higher than Lopez when Lopez beat Lomachenko? We'll see. But I think going head to head, Lopez beats Haney. He beats Ryan Garcia. He beats everyone below him. He's a big dude. He beat Richard Comey in the second round, beat him up pretty bad. I don't know if that's the toughest competition, but he's a champ for a reason, and he beat Lomachenko. So to not have him at least in the top 3 would be absurd. So I put it, that's kind of why I have him at 3.
Well, he is the champ, and he did beat a hurt Lomachenko, as it turns out. But at the same time, he did beat him, so you can't take that away from him. Judge, you had him at 3 as well, as the rest of us did. What any other things that Richie didn't touch on there?
I mean, that's probably a general consensus, man. Like I honestly thought that he would have already fought before we did this list, which is why we technically planned the list at this time, because I wanted to see how he was going to fight against somebody else, and he hasn't fought against Kambosos yet. So hopefully that fight happens soon. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to happen in like a week or 2, but who knows? That stuff can change real quick. So I was hoping he'd have a little bit of a test just to see how he does respond, once he has all the fame and all the belts. The thing I worry about Lopez is that I really fear that eventually his dad's going to try to cash a check that his son can't catch, or his son can't cash. And it's going to catch him sooner than later, I think, especially with a couple of the other people in this division. But yeah, I know he is the champ, but I hurt Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko would beat him in a rematch. So I have him at 3 because he just hasn't seen anything since then. So kind of want to see if that's sustainable or if that was just a flash in the pan. So
right on. Yeah, it's I think he fights in a month. I think that's what we talked about last week. I said it was a week and it turned out to be a month. I think
right.
October 13th, I think.
Yeah.
October
I was like,
5th.
it's next week,
Tuesday
and you're like,
pay-per-view.
I said it's next week, and you're like, it's August, dude.
Yeah, obviously I tried to block that out of my memory because it's a Tuesday pay-per-view. I forgot about it. Now I remember. This is the shit of my nightmares.
Yes. So on Tuesday, Jim will have to stay up late as we watch that one at my house, I guess, that time, because I said I'd get that. All right, that's our top 5, 4, and 3. We're going to lay off going 2 and 1 a second, but we're going to touch on the ones that didn't make the top 5. And there is a lot more controversy down there, I guess, or shuffling around that goes on, I should say. I'm just going to go through them, and then we'll touch on who you want to touch on. So at number 6 with 13 points was Richard Comey. I had him at 7. James, you had him at 6. Richie had him at 7. At number 7 was 11 with 11 points was Jojo Diaz. I had him at 6. James, you had him at 10. Rich had him at 6 as well because Rich is a genius. At 8, we had George Kambosos Jr. at 7. I had him at 8 with 7 points. I had him at 8. James had him at 7. Richie did not have him ranked. At 9, we had Jorge Linares. He also had 7 points, but had a lower ranking. I had him at 9. James had him at 9. Rich had him at 8. Then coming into the non-ranked ones, we had at 10, Masayoshi Nakatani with 3 points. I had him unranked. James had him at 8. Richie had him unranked. And then the 2 that Rich had, or one of them that Rich, 2 that Rich had, I guess, that neither of us had. Isaac Cruz, he had him at 9. And Michael Rivera, he had him at 10. And then I had William Zapata at 10 as well for 1 point. That's our 6 through 13 that didn't make our top 5. Any of those jump out at you that you guys want to talk about? I'll start with you, Rich.
Nakatani is probably 11. And you know what? If I'm relooking at this, he is as high as maybe 8 on my list. I had Cruz at 9 and Rivera at 10. Isaac Cruz, I think he's like 5'4". I mean, I don't want to call him Gervanta Davis, but this dude is a tiny dude that packs power and punch. Doesn't have the resume yet, but I expect him to be on your guys' list next year. You will know who this guy is. And lastly, Michelle Rivera. This guy is a throwback classic to like the 60s. He comes out to like Muhammad Ali trunks, and he looks like Tito Trinidad, but he'll probably be a top 10 for both you guys next year too. He's a big talker. You will know these guys. So didn't mean to take up all the time, but I wish I had Nakatani ranked, but Isaac Cruz and Michelle Rivera, look out for them guys.
How about you, James? Any of them that jump out at you that, especially the Kambosos that you had at highest at 7, I am at 8, and Richie didn't have him ranked.
Mm-hmm. Who was our number 7 overall?
Jojo Diaz. I had him at 6. Richie had him at 6. You had him at 10.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, a lot of these guys at the bottom, I don't think are really any threat to move any higher than they are. To be honest, there's not really I'm not a big fan of Jojo Diaz. Javier Fortuna's towards the end. Nakatani isn't young either. Linares is just a gatekeeper. Comey is probably the most interesting one to me. That still has a shot to go up there because he's only has 3 losses. He is the older of, I think, probably all of these guys besides Linares, who's like, 58 years old. But Comey, I think he definitely has the ability to pop back in to this top 5, just given some of these fights. But I mean, nothing really exciting besides those top 5, to be honest, for me anyway. But I definitely probably watch quite a few of them anyway. But
I have 2 questions for you guys regarding that. Linares, I understand, but he might be the toughest gatekeeper there is. I mean, his last fight against Haney, he took him the distance, and he scared him a few times. But the question I have, Kambosos is at 8 right now. I had him at 8. James got him at 7, and Richie didn't have him ranked. If he beats Lopez next month, how far up does he move?
It's a good question. I don't know if he beats Lopez, I might pop him in the top 5 because Garcia is not active, but that would be it. I probably would think that Garcia, I mean, it all depends on how well he looks, I guess, but I would say 5 is the most that I would bump him up. If not, he might not move that much.
Would you still have Lopez in front of him
then? It's a good question. I mean, it all depends on if it's a dominating performance, because Kambosos doesn't have a lot of power. If it's a dominating performance, Lopez may fall behind him. If not, he'd probably still be ahead of him even if he loses. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because it's definitely a couple different styles. So
if Kambosos beats him in my list, he'd move up to 4. Haney would move up to 3, and Lopez would drop down to 5. That's what it would be for me, and then Garcia would drop to 6. Rich, how about you? You didn't even have him ranked. So what do you think? Where would Kambosos go on your if on your rankings if he won next month?
Yeah, so there's a couple things we need to think about when we talk about boxing. We need to think about corruption. I need to see, I don't care who wins the fight. I need to see Gambosa's outbox Lopez for 12 rounds. There's ways that they will still give this fight to Lopez because we know this. But if Gambosa's just outboxes Lopez for 12 rounds, and he is clearly the better guy, win or lose, he definitely leapfrogs over Lopez. We got to see after that. Now, if it's like some sort of knockout, the way Jermell Charlo knocked out Erickson Lubin, or the way Lopez knocked out Richard Comey, I'd probably want to see him go at it again. That would put Gambosa's in the top 10. But I don't know if Gambosa's beats Isaac Cruz or Michelle Rivera, Jorge Linares. Lopez hasn't really beaten anyone but Comey with that weird knockdown I just alluded to, and a one-armed Lomachenko. So how good is Lopez? He's good enough. Gambosa's, you got to go, like, he's got to just outbox him for 12 rounds, make it like clear with no question, kind of like what Ugas had to do to beat Manny, which was a close fight. If it's close between Lopez and Gambosa's, top 10. But if he wins like 12 rounds or something, and it's just clear, I'd put him top 5, maybe as high as 3, where I have Lopez right now.
We're right on. Any final thoughts from either of you guys about 6 through 13 there? Yeah, you guys pretty much touched on it pretty well. I just want to give you a chance to throw anything else out there if you had any responses, or James, if you had a response to that. Okay,
I mean, we'll see.
All right, let's move on to our top 2 here. Let's see if we keep on. We've matched on every one of them so far. Let's see if we match all the way to the top. Our number 2, with 28 points, is Gervanta Davis. The Tank, I actually had him at 1, so it is not a clear thing there.
How do we know?
At 2, Richie had him at 2. I had him at 1. James had him at 2. Richie had him at 2. How do I know? Because I'm looking at it. That's all I know.
Yeah, but the audience didn't know, Raider.
Yeah, well, they could have figured
I won't drink to you.
I'll
drink to me and James.
Then don't. All right. Because he said he's not drinking to me, James, you can go first. Gervanta Davis at 2.
Well, look, it's real quick, we just don't know. The reason he's on this list, we don't know if he's actually going to stay at 140 or if he's going to drop back down to 135, right? He jumped up for a title fight because that was probably the one he could make, right? Mm-hmm. I think he looked good, obviously. I don't know, right? But if we put him in these 2 spots, if I put him back down at 135, I think he beats Lopez, beats Haney, beats Garcia. For me, the only question I have is I don't know if he beats Lomachenko. If anyone can do it, a healthy Lomachenko, I'd probably say that Davis would be the one of this group that would be able to do it, purely because his power is so much more than anyone else. And he has maybe not the 100% polished skills, but he's got good enough skills to have that power be dangerous enough, even against Lomachenko. And if all it takes is, Loma to not be Loma, and night, right? But Davis is definitely just a force, period, is the reason he calls him Tank. But I got him at number 2 for that reason alone.
Rich?
Yeah, the boxing skill set is I don't think it's matched with Lomachenko. I've talked about Roy Jones, comparing Loma to Roy, all year, last 2 years, however long we've been doing this. And I don't know, maybe Loma's not Roy, but boy, Loma has got some skills. Loma and Davis go head to head. Davis can knock out Loma anytime he wants to, but Loma's not gonna. I don't think Loma lets him do it. Loma's just not gonna put himself in a situation that Santa Cruz did or Pedraza did. I don't think he's gonna try to go toe to toe with Gervonta, but I don't know if Lomachenko's number 1. We're still talking about number 2. I think Davis dominates the rest of these other guys. I don't think Lopez beats him. I don't think Haney beats him. I don't think they have a chance against him because his skill set is about as good as everyone else's, but his power is 140 power. And I don't know if the other guys have 140 power. I actually think Davis has like power at like 160. I can see him going up to 160 before his career's over, but that's why I got Davis too. He has a skill set of everyone else, but he has power unmatched.
For me, I had him at, it was basically 1 and 1A, and how I did the tiebreaker was age. Davis is consider me a fan of Davis. Tank, he's his knockouts are incredible. He seems to get angry and be able to knock somebody out at any time that he really wants to. He can stop a fight at any time he wants to. Loma, he's coming off a win, but a loss before that to Lopez. I always hurt, but tiebreaker age, I gave it to Tank, and I think Tank's just got more in front of him to do, or more impressive things that he's going to be doing over the next year or two than Lomachenko. But it was close. I mean, it was 1 and 1A for me. All right, let's get to our number one. Obviously, it's pretty. We kind of already ruined what our number one was, but since we haven't set him yet on this list, he's obviously number one on this list. It's Lomachenko. Lomachenko comes in at 29 points. I obviously had him at 2. James had him at 1, and Richie had him at 1. Go ahead, Rich, since I let James go first last time.
Let me tell you, don't sleep on the age. The Lakers have age, and they're winning that title this year, so do not sleep on age.
They win last year?
I don't remember. I don't recall, but Milwaukee did really well. But at the end of the day, these young guys, they go in there kind of stubborn. They know everything. Lomachenko has discipline. Lomachenko has got a skill set like no other, like Roy Jones in my lifetime. This is the second coming of Roy right here. I don't know what else to add. Lomachenko's been number one for who knows how long. He got, I wouldn't even say a bogus end on a scorecard with Lopez, but he was number one up until that point. No excuses. He lost. He should have backed out. We talked about Spence backing out instead of putting up a fake fight if you can't compete. Good. Maybe Loma shouldn't have competed because he probably would still be number one in your eyes, Raider Live. But I got Loma number one, and I don't think I need to explain anything.
As I said, the Matrix is 1 and 1A with Davis right now. It was just too close to call, so I just went with age as the tiebreaker. Number one super fan of Lomachenko. I don't know if you love him more than your guy Terrence Crawford, but it's up there. Judge, what do you think? I knew you were going to have him at 1.
But. We've had plenty of shows. You should go back and look at some of those to see why Lomachenko is number one, to be honest. Plenty of shows in our repertoire. But I mean, what Rich said is I'm not really worried about age, especially watching him in his last fight. That last fight that he had against Nakatani was going to be the biggest telltale to see if you still have it or if you were actually on the decline. And I think he still has it. He looked extremely good against Nakatani. I agree with Rich. He should have pulled out of the Lopez fight if he was indeed hurt. That was just a poor, extremely poor move on his part. But you know what? Hindsight's 20/20. You live and learn. I think he will learn real quick because that's what you got to do in Ukraine. And yeah, he's still going to be number one. I think he beats Lopez in a rematch, and I think he probably does it fairly handily. So,
well, let's hope we see that rematch here soon. It'd be nice to see it. That is our list. 1 is Lomachenko, 2 is Gervanta Davis, 3 Teofimo Lopez, 4 is Haney, and 5 is Ryan Garcia, 6 Richard Comey, 7 Jojo Diaz, 8 Kambosos Jr., 9 Linares, 10 Nakatami, 11 Isaac Cruz, 12 William Zepeda, and 13 Michel Rivera. That's our list for our 135 lightweights. I hope you agree with them. Tell us in the comments where you think we got it wrong, where we think we got it right. Especially debate those top 2, Davis and Lomachenko. And will we get a rematch with Lomachenko and Lopez? And if we get that rematch, is it going to go the way these guys say it is going to go? I am going to bet that it will go that way. I think Lomachenko destroys him in a rematch. A healthy Lomachenko destroys Lopez in a rematch. That's just what I think. But final thoughts on our list here, boys. You think we got it right? We got it wrong? We agreed on everyone except the top 2, and I'm the one that ruined that for a clean sweep. You guys agreed on the top 5 exactly. Our experts did, so it's got to be right. What do you think? Final thoughts?
Yeah, we're great.
I will say this. Loma could be like the Pacquiao, where maybe age is catching up with him, and me and James don't see that yet. We could be wrong. Raider, you could have got this one right, but 1A, it's a 1A and 1B. It really is. I just took Loma because it's Loma, man. He's been a top 10 pound for pound dude. Forget about this just division. He's a pound for pound god right now. And Gervanta, I don't even know if he cracks the top 10, at least in other websites. He's top 10 in our eyes, but that's all I want to add.
Well, he's fought like 3-4 divisions too. Davis has, right? So I mean, he should be.
Right. But when we did our pound for pound list, we had
right.
him there, but like we had him really high, where like ESPN, Ring Magazine, Fox, whoever else, they don't have Gervanta as high as we do. But Loma has always been like number 1, number 2, 3, something like that.
Well, that's their problem. We've always said the only one that matters is the BAB. That's the BAB rankings. That's all that matters, right? Right.
Drink to that.
I'll drink to that. Thank you. I was hoping for that. James once again didn't drink to it, but that's fine. Since James didn't drink to it, is there something you want to say to him?
Nope.
I'm done with you. All right, that's our Filthy 5. Let's go on with the show. All right, boys, that's our show this week. Always a good show. Always fun to do the Filthy 5 because it's the first of the month. It's the first of the month. We got a Amir Khan reference in there, and I'm done with you. We got all sorts of good things in there. So, Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
Want to give a birthday shout out to my man, Jack. He's one of the biggest South Park fans I've ever met. He actually went as PC principal for Halloween one year. And I wouldn't even say more importantly, but as importantly, he's a huge LeBron James fan. Jack, I'm drinking to you. Congrats, Max Kellerman. He wrapped up at First Take. Can't wait to see what's next. Cheers.
Do you have a raging clue right now? I have a raging clue. Right
He'll get it.
How about you, James? Do you have a raging clue right now? Such a raging clue. Can you?
Well, my clue's pointing that way. So.
Well, my clue's pointing up towards James. So, James, why don't you tell us where they can hear about our clues if they're watching our clues, and if they're listening or watching our clues, where can they hear about them on the road?
If you're watching this and want to listen to us, you can type in Bruise and Boxing on any major podcast site. If you want to watch us and you're listening to us, you can just go to YouTube.com/Bruise and Boxing.
Well done. All right, that's our show this week. Good show next week coming up. Possibly an interview, I think, next week is what we're going to be doing with local boxers. So we got that coming up. All sorts of other fun things coming up here over the next few weeks. So make sure you tune in every week. Like, subscribe, hit that bell to get that notification. And until then, boys, we will see you guys next week.